In the quiet of a diner, officers were taunting Jason Statham, but fate had a shocking twist waiting for them. The taillights of the ambulance faded into the distance as Jason Statham stood alone in the empty driveway, his hands still stained with Emily's blood. The sirens had long gone silent, but their echo remained, bouncing between the walls of his mind like a scream in an empty room. His phone vibrated in his pocket, the third call from the hospital. He couldn't bring himself to answer. Not yet. Rain began to fall, gentle at first, then heavier, washing the remaining blood from his hands into small crimson puddles at his feet. The storm matched his inner turmoil as images from moments earlier invaded his thoughts. Emily's pale face, her eyes wide with fear, the knife still embedded in her abdomen, his own voice breaking as he begged the 911 operator to hurry. "Jason!" Jason turned to see Bron, Emily's 16-year-old brother, standing in the doorway, shoulders hunched, face ashen. The boy's hands trembled at his sides. "She's going to die, isn't she?" Bron whispered, his voice barely audible above the rain. Jason wanted to lie, to offer some hollow reassurance, but the truth hung between them like a noose. This was Bron's fault. The argument, the anger, the push that sent Emily crashing through the glass coffee table. An accident, yes, but one born from years of unbridled rage that Jason had chosen to ignore. "I don't know," Jason finally answered, his voice hoarse. "I really don't know." Before Bron could respond, headlights cut through the rain as a black sedan pulled into the driveway. Detective Rebecca Mercer stepped out, her face a mask of professional detachment. But Jason knew better. Had known her long before she wore a badge, back when they were both different people. "I need to speak with Bron," she said, no trace of their shared history in her voice, "and I need to do it now." Jason looked between the boy and the woman he once loved, suddenly aware that this moment, this exact second in time, would forever divide his life into before and after. Whatever came next would be built on the ashes of everything he thought he knew. "Bron," Jason said, turning to him, "tell her everything, and this time, tell the truth." 7 years earlier, Jason Statham was a different man. At 42, he had already established himself as one of Hollywood's premier action stars, his name attached to some of the industry's most successful franchises. His mansion overlooked the Pacific, his cars were featured in luxury magazines, and his career was entering its prime. He had everything that many envied, but few understood the cost of maintaining, because beneath the polished facade, fractures were forming, hairline cracks that would eventually bring everything crumbling down. The first major tremor came on a rainy Tuesday in March, when Jason received a call that would change everything. "Mr. Statham," said the producer on the other end, "the project's been cancelled." It wasn't just any project. It was the one Jason had spent years developing, a dramatic role that would finally allow him to break free from the action hero typecasting. Almost overnight, Jason found himself at a crossroads, questioning his path and purpose in an industry that seemed increasingly shallow. Seeking meaning beyond Hollywood, Jason began working with humanitarian efforts, eventually finding himself in a small Mississippi town devastated by flooding. It was there he met Bron, a struggling single father trying to raise his daughter Emily after his wife's death. Jason was immediately drawn to their resilience, despite overwhelming challenges. "She doesn't even remember her mother," Bron said, one night tears threatening as Emily slept in the next room. "She was only 3 when we lost her." "Is that why you keep going?" Jason asked, genuinely curious about what gave the man strength. Bron looked toward his daughter's room. "She's why I do everything." Jason began spending more time with the family, helping rebuild their home, bringing Emily art supplies when he noticed her talent for drawing. The little girl was shy at first, watching him with cautious eyes that had seen too much loss for someone so young. "You're the man from the movies," she said one day, finally breaking her silence around him. "I used to be," Jason replied. "Now I'm just me." Emily studied him with that solemn intensity children sometimes possess. "I like just you better." Something shifted in Jason that day, a realization that the connection he felt with this child and her father was more real than anything he'd experienced in years of fame. Then came the day Bron collapsed while working on the roof. The diagnosis was swift and merciless: advanced cancer, too far gone for treatment. In the hospital, Bron clutched Jason's hand with surprising strength. "Promise me," he whispered, each word a battle. "Promise you'll look after Emily." And Jason, who had never imagined himself as a father, made a promise that would redefine his life. "I promise." 3 months later, Bron was gone, and Jason faced the challenge of honoring his word. The small community was suspicious of the Hollywood, a star's intentions with the young black girl. Whispers followed them. Doubts haunted every interaction. Why would he want her unless there's something wrong with him? Jason overheard one day at the local store. But Emily's trust never wavered. "When are we going home?" she asked the day after her father's funeral, her small hand in his. "Where do you want home to be?" Jason asked carefully. "With you," she said simply, as if the answer was obvious. And so Jason brought Emily to Los Angeles, navigating the complex legal process of adoption while trying to shield her from the vulturous media. He stepped back from acting, focusing instead on giving Emily stability and nurturing her artistic talents, which blossomed under his encouragement. But Hollywood was not kind to this unexpected family. Tabloids questioned his motives, casting directors forgot his number, and former colleagues avoided him at industry events. "Has been," they whispered. "Career suicide." Emily faced her own battles at the exclusive private school Jason enrolled her in. The other children were cruel, excluding her for being different, for her background, for her relationship with Jason. "Why do they hate me?" she asked one night, tears streaming down her face after a particularly difficult day. Jason pulled her close. "They don't hate you. They just don't understand us yet. But they will." "Promise?" she asked, her voice small. "I promise," he replied, though he wasn't sure how he would make it true. As Emily grew, so did her talent. By 12, her paintings were drawing attention from serious art critics. A gallery owner who saw her work at a school exhibition offered to host a show featuring her pieces. It should have been a triumph, but the night of the opening, Emily collapsed. The diagnosis came like a physical blow. The same rare genetic disease that had taken her father was now threatening her. "How long?" Jason asked the doctor, while Emily slept in her hospital bed. "A year, maybe less. I'm sorry, Mr. Statham." Jason refused to accept it. He sought second opinions, experimental treatments, alternative therapies, anything that might save the child who had become his world. He spent his fortune on medical bills, sold his mansion, his cars, everything of value. Emily watched it all with eyes too wise for her age. "Stop," she said one evening as Jason researched yet another experimental treatment. "You're trying too hard to save me, instead of just being with me." Jason looked up, startled by her insight. "But I promised your father I'd take care of you." "And you have?" she said softly. "Now promise me something." "Anything. Promise you'll be okay." After, it was the hardest promise he'd ever made. "He didn't mean to hurt her," Jason said, sitting across from Rebecca in the hospital waiting room. 3 hours had passed since they'd brought Emily in, and there was still no word on her condition. "It was an accident." Rebecca's face remained impassive, her notepad open on her lap. She'd joined the police force years ago, around the time she and Jason had finally acknowledged that their paths were leading in different directions. "An accident," she repeated, the word flat. "Like the accident at school last year? Or the accident with your neighbor's dog? Jason, at some point you have to stop making excuses for him." Jason ran a hand through his hair, now streaked with premature gray. "What do you want me to say? That Bron is out of control? That I've failed him? Fine, I've failed. Is that what you need to hear?" Rebecca sighed, setting down her pen. For a moment, the detective facade slipped, revealing the woman he once knew. "What I need is to understand how we got here, how Bron ended up in your life for starters." Jason closed his eyes, the events of the past 2 years playing like a slideshow behind his eyelids. After learning of Emily's diagnosis, he had reached out to her extended family, searching for anyone who might have information about her medical history. or possibly be a match for the stem cell transplant she needed. It was during this search that he discovered Bron, Emily's half-brother from their father's previous relationship, living in foster care after his mother abandoned him. Without telling Emily, Jason had made arrangements to become Bron's foster parent, hoping that the boy might be a match for his sister. The DNA test revealed they were compatible, and Bron agreed to the procedure that might save Emily's life. "I thought I could fix things," Jason told Rebecca. "For her, for him, for all of us. I thought bringing them together would help somehow." And instead it created resentment, Rebecca concluded. He felt used. "It's more complicated than that," Jason insisted, though he knew she was partly right. Bron, struggling with abandonment issues and his own demons, had initially seemed grateful to be connected with his sister, but as Emily's condition improved following the transplant, Jason's attention had naturally focused on her recovery. Bron's behavior had deteriorated, his anger issues becoming more pronounced. "He started therapy," Jason continued. "He was trying. We were all trying." Rebecca's response was cut short as a surgeon in blood-stained scrubs approached them. Jason stood, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Mr. Statham." The surgeon's expression gave nothing away. "Emily's out of surgery. The knife missed her major organs, but she lost a significant amount of blood. The next 24 hours will be critical." Jason exhaled shakily. "Can I see her?" "Briefly. She's still unconscious." As Jason turned to follow the surgeon, Rebecca caught his arm. "This isn't over," she said quietly. "Bron needs help, real help. And if you don't get it for him, I will." Jason nodded, knowing she was right. "I know, but right now I need to see Emily." But the hospital room was dimly lit, the only sounds coming from the steady beep of monitors and the soft hiss of oxygen. Emily looked impossibly small in the large bed, her dark hair stark against the white pillowcase. Jason approached cautiously, as if afraid she might shatter at his touch. He sat beside her, gently taking her hand in his. "I'm so sorry," he whispered, though he knew she couldn't hear him. "I promised I'd keep you safe, and I failed." The weight of that failure pressed down on him, making it difficult to breathe. He had tried so hard to create a home for these two broken children, to give them stability and love. Instead, he had brought them to this. One fighting for her life, the other facing consequences that would forever alter his path. Jason's phone vibrated again. This time he answered. "Jason!" Bron's voice was small, frightened. He was at the police station waiting to be processed. "Is she going to be okay?" Jason looked at Emily's pale face, the tubes and wires connecting her to machines that breathed for her, that monitored every flutter of her heart. The truth was, he didn't know. None of them did. "She's fighting," he said finally, "just like she always has." There was silence on the other end, then a muffled sob. "I didn't mean to hurt her. I swear, Jason, I was just so angry, and she was there and—" His voice broke. "I've ruined everything, haven't I?" Jason closed his eyes, memories washing over him. His former life in Hollywood, empty despite its glamour. Emily's father, Bron Sr., entrusting him with his most precious treasure. Emily's smile the first time she called him Dad. Bron's face when they discovered he could save his sister's life. Family, such a simple word for such a complex concept. "Not everything," Jason said, opening his eyes to look at Emily again. "Not yet." As he sat there, somewhere between son and daughter, past and future, Jason made a decision. No more running, no more pretending, no more hiding from the truth, no matter how painful. It was time to face the shadows, all of them. 3 days later, Jason stood in the doorway of Emily's hospital room, watching as Bron approached her bed with halting steps. The boy's hands trembled as he placed a small wrapped package on the table beside her. "What is it?" Emily asked, her voice weak but clear. She had regained consciousness the day before, her recovery labeled remarkable by the medical staff. Bron swallowed hard. "Open it." With Jason's help, Emily unwrapped the package to reveal a delicate glass figurine, a phoenix rising from flames, its wings spread wide. I made it, Bron said, not meeting her eyes. In the glass workshop at school, before everything. He paused, struggling. I'm sorry, Emily, I'm so sorry. Emily looked at the figurine, then at Bron, her expression unreadable. Jason held his breath, aware that this moment contained all their futures within it. Why did you do it? She asked simply. Bron's shoulders slumped. I don't know, I get so angry sometimes and I can't control it. It's like there's something broken inside me. He finally looked at her, eyes swimming with tears. But that's no excuse. I hurt you, and I'll never forgive myself. Jason watched as Emily considered this, her young face solemn beyond her years. She had every right to reject Bron's apology, to demand he leave, to never want to see him again. Instead, she held out her hand. I'm broken too, she said quietly. Maybe we all are. Bron stared at her outstretched hand, then tentatively took it. Does this mean you forgive me? Emily shook her head. Not yet, but maybe someday. It wasn't everything, but it was a start. Jason felt something loosen in his chest. Not hope exactly, but perhaps its precursor. Outside the hospital room, Rebecca waited, her expression softer than it had been in days. The DA has agreed to consider a juvenile rehabilitation program instead of detention, given the circumstances, she told Jason. Bron will need to complete intensive therapy, community service, and remain under supervision until he's 21. Jason nodded, relief washing through him. Thank you. Don't thank me, she replied. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it because that boy in there deserves a chance to become someone better than his circumstances have shaped him to be. She hesitated, then added, we all do. Jason understood what she wasn't saying, that maybe, in some small way, she was also doing this for the man she once knew, the man she believed he could still be. I'm getting help too, he told her. For all of us. Real help this time. Rebecca's smile was sad but genuine. Good. It's about time. As she walked away, Jason turned back to the hospital room, where Bron was carefully showing Emily how the light caught the glass phoenix, creating rainbows on the sterile white walls. They were both smiling, tentatively, as if testing whether joy was still possible. Jason knew the road ahead would be long and difficult. Bron had a darkness inside him that wouldn't be easily vanquished. Emily carried scars, both physical and emotional, that might never fully heal, and Jason himself had his own demons to face, his own mistakes to atone for. But watching his children, for that's what they were, regardless of blood or law, finding a moment of connection amidst the wreckage they'd all created, Jason allowed himself to believe in something he'd lost along the way, the possibility of redemption. Not erasure of the past, but a future built with full awareness of it. Not perfection, but progress. Not a happy ending, but perhaps eventually a peaceful one. Outside, rain began to fall again, gentle now, washing away the last traces of blood from the driveway where everything had changed. Inside, a family, broken, imperfect, but still somehow intact, began the slow, painful work of healing. And somewhere, in the spaces between them, shadows lightened just a little as truth finally found its voice.